Hi, my name is Cleus Glory Young, and I'm the proud, when I mean proud author of the Airport Adventure Live Safely Book-A-Zine, and also the creator of the Kite family, which are the main characters within the story of the Airport Adventure. What I want to do as the author of the Airport Adventure, I want to take some time out to really begin to break down the Airport Adventure. And here's one of the things. Many times that I go out in the community, and what happened when I share this with different people, it automatically brings their awareness to the airport, which is good. And then they develop the context that it's all about a story that revolves just around the airport. And while it is a story around the airport, it is just for me as the author to bring to your attention that it's not just a story about the airport. As a former teacher, as a former playwright, as a former behavior therapist, as a former speaker, and many other things that I've done within the community, I've put them all together and create a story now that I'm sharing through the environment of the airport. And we'll get into that either in this video or another video that I'm going to be breaking down what the Airport Adventure is really about. Put it this way. It took me 21 years to arrive here, where when I'm saying I'm the proud author of the Airport Adventure Live Safely, I'm not just saying it because the book is here now, which was recently published within the month of May 2021. What I'm looking at as the author, I've spent numerous time and numerous years to really come to this conclusion of what I'm using the airport for right now. Today, what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch away from being the author, and I'm going to play the position of what is called an educer. I'm sharing with you a term that I may come to the conclusion that you may not have heard of this term before. And if you haven't, no problem. I'm going to break everything down for you. This is where I'm saying it took me 21 years to really get to this position. So it's not just something I was able to put together and say, oh, here is the community. Here it is for the community. So an educer, what is an educer? All right, so let's bridge the gap. You may have heard of the term teacher. I was also in that position at one point of my life, which I left. And here's where I'm going, what I'm saying, an educer. An educer is someone who brings out something out of a person or out of a thing. An educer. Why am I bridging the gap with teacher? How would I put it? Because this is what teaching was supposed to be about. So let me begin to break it down now. The word education comes from the etymology word educo, or some people, depending on which research you find, it would also say educare. So educo or educare, it doesn't matter which one, it both mean the same thing, and which it means to bring out. So when you hear about educo or educare, it means to bring out. So when I say I'm coming to you from the angle of an educer, I'm not using the term teacher, because I've seen that teaching has become something else. So when I'm coming to you now, I'm coming to you from what is called an educer position, which I'm hoping to bring something out of you. So how did I arrive at this position of being an educer? I observe myself within the educational field from 5 different angles. And after observing it from 5 different angles, I was able to make a conclusion to what I'm now concluding myself as an educer. Here is one of the angles, and I'll give you all 5 angles. So starting off was the basic education as a student. So I did the elementary, middle school, high school, all that. That's a basic concept of where you go through when you get your basic education. So that's one part as a student. And then I went on to the more advanced level and I attained 2 college degrees. So in that essence, now I move from the basic to now the more advanced. And especially when I attained my 2nd degree, when I tell you I paid attention to what was really going on from the collegiate level. So it wasn't just being a student, straight A student, which I graduated both degrees with magna cum laude. So that's high honors. So that's one level, all right? Another level that I saw education from was being a former teacher. So I was within the classroom of the education from the what you would call the elementary level. So that's another angle. After that, I used one of my degrees to obtain a job position where I was considered a behavior therapist. A behavior therapist at that time was someone who was scheduled to go within the classroom and help to monitor the students' behavior so they can cope with their academic learning throughout the day. So I spent quite some time within the classroom. What this allowed me to do was to actually see education being taught from someone who was not just looking at it from a teaching standpoint, but I'm looking at it, how does it affect the behavior of the student within that atmosphere as well. So that's that. I also went out and I created my own curriculum, and I became an instructor now, which is another angle. I became an instructor through what is called Temple PASEP. Temple PASEP is Temple University that created this, what I would say, this engagement for community members who didn't find the financial needs to go to the regular college. They could actually go through what is called PASEP. And PASEP is a community program that different people who have the educational background or different professionals that would like to come back and give their knowledge and awareness of how to help someone to transition in what they were sharing with the classroom. So that's another angle. And then the last angle now that I saw education from was being a community member. Being an avid community member, I began to see certain things around education that the regular person may not be able to see. If you're a teacher, or if you're a behavior therapist, or if you're a student. So I saw it, as I said, I observed these different positions that I was in. So that's how I'm coming to you now as an educer, someone that's open to bring something out of you. So as it pertains to the Airport Adventure Live Safely Book-A-Zine, it wasn't something that I just wrote as a story about the airport. Yes, it's the context of the airport, but at the same time, I used the environment of the airport to bring out, listen, to bring out what is it that I really want to bring to the community. Educer, you bring something out. So the context of being an educer now, what I'm going to share with you now, I'm actually playing that role, little bit of the teaching concept of what is a custom. So the Airport Adventure Live Safely. Today we're just going to look at title, subtitles, main ideas, and the general theme. So the title is what? The Airport Adventure. So automatically what you're going to think about is the airport, and that's good. If I'm talking about the title being the Airport Adventure, and then I'm talking about being on the beach, that wouldn't equate to being sufficient to the title itself. So when you talk about a title for such as a work like this or any other thing, it has to equate to what it is talking about. And it could do it from two ways. It could do it from directly, as in the Airport Adventure, right? So that relates to being with the airport. But it also could be around what is called the indirect way. Indirect way meaning that, let me just give you an example. Like when I say the library, what does the library really come to mind? It comes to mind with books. But there's an indirect context of the library that when you say library, that doesn't come with it. And when you talk about the library, the main idea of the library is being quiet. So even though the title is library, I could indirectly write about something that's quiet within that atmosphere of the library. So that would actually help to cover the indirect aspect of the title. So that's that. The subtitle is around live safely. That means the entire notion of what I'm going through, the airport adventure, should be around live safely. So I have the title and I have the subtitle, all right? Both of them go hand in hand. So if I say the airport adventure, it's telling you it has to be within the context of the airport, which is the title. But also now from a subtitle standpoint, it has to be around that subtitle. Now you're narrowing down everything. That the airport adventure could be around many things. But I brought it down to the subtitle, which is live safely. So that's one component, right? The next thing now, when you move away from the title and subtitle, you go into what is called the main idea. The main idea has to be about the airport. I can't sit here and write a story about the train this or the train that, or I'm writing about the park. It has to be around the airport. So that's a part of what the airport adventure is about. And again, also it says adventure. So it has to be about an adventure. That's the main idea. The airport adventure lives safely. And something around that has to gravitate towards making this now the main idea that I'm going to be talking about in the story is around living safely through adventure. The airport adventure lives safely. I'm hoping this is starting to make sense to you. So when I'm saying it's not just around the context of the airport, right? It's not. I use the environment of the airport to utilize such a significant story. So the next aspect now, the central theme, it has to be around an adventure. The airport adventure lives safely. So the central theme that's going to be throughout the book now is around either adventure or live safely. But since live safely is the subtitle, then that's what the story of the airport adventure live safely is going to be about. So look at this now. It's not just a story about the airport. The subtitle now makes it into something that you really have to pay attention to from the main idea or the central theme. And the central theme around this is how to live safely. So I'm utilizing the airport as an environment that I'm showing now or bringing out Educer. How to live safely within the community, within the schools, within the home. So the concept of this now, the airport adventure, is not around just the airport. The subtitle narrowed it into what it's called live safely. So I'm using the environment and the culture of the airport to bring out something that I want to make you become aware of. So as an educer, I'm not sharing with you that I'm going to teach you something. One of the things in being an educer is creating what is called a model. So what I did, I created a model. I'm not teaching you anything. I am creating the model for you to see it. One of the aspects now as we look at the airport The airport prioritizes what is called safety in its daily operation. So in the airport adventure, it has to be around what? Safety, which is why it's called, the subtitle is called Live Safely. So that's one of the components that's a major part of the airport. So I'm now bringing out safety from the airport to bring it to the community. The other aspect which relates to now the airport adventure, live safely. Why am I saying live safely? I'm saying live safely in the context of saying it has to do with your well-being. Safety influences your well-being. So the general concept or general theme of this proud work is around your well-being. And why well-being? I want to break it down so you could actually see. Well-being, number one. Look at it carefully. So I just showed you well-being. Well-being, take the word well away and add the word human. So as a human being, you can be in two modes. You can either be well or you can be not well. So a part of this, and I won't have time to really go into it and really break down that context, but the well-being is the context of how you address a human being. It shows you if you're either well or you're not. If you're not well, you don't function at your highest level. If you're well, then you function at your highest level. So when I say now well-being, I'm saying to you, I'm bringing to you safety, which is the priority of the airport, for it now to get you to the level of your well-being. Your well-being now is how it relates to how you function. It's either you're well or you're not. All right. Then look at the word now, well, from well-being. Let's break it down. Well. When you look at that now, you could easily see it where it's going into the context of, no, this is well. So the word is well. And as you can see, I already skipped it and went to the next one, which I'm breaking it down for you. So well, then we go to now. See the difference? What I'm doing, I'm breaking it down for you. So now, what does that really mean? It means we all. So when I look at it now, you're looking at the context of saying we all, not just well-being. We all have to be well. And that's a concept of what the airport adventure is really about. It's not looking for safety for blacks or whites or reds or no. It's saying we all have to be safe. And that's another video that I would have to do. But within that context now, you can now look at that from the well-being. So safety influences your well-being. Your well-being now goes to what I would call new possibilities. When you as a person begin to be well within yourself as a human being, then it allows you to see new possibilities. And just real quick, because I'll break it down, the airport allows you to go to a new destination. That's a new possibility. So if you go to a new country, a new place, that's a new possibility, because it allows you to see things that you never saw before. So that's that. So if you can look right here, it says side 2. So on this side is side 2, and I got it correct this time. Side 2 as in new possibilities. So how does it work? Safety influences your well-being. Your well-being allows you to see new possibilities. Side 2. If you don't have a new possibility in your life, then you go to what is called side 1. Side 1 means that it's old realities. It's either you're going to live in side 1 or you're going to live in side 2, but you can't live on two sides at the same time. So it's either we're going to build new possibilities or remain in old realities. So when we talk about the Airport Adventure, Live Safely, the subtitle, remember, it's bringing it in now. It's not just the Airport Adventure. It's bringing it down now to the central theme or the main idea. It has to be around what? Live safely. When you live safely, it allows you to see new possibilities and bring you out of old realities, which is the central theme or the main idea of the airport. When you go to the airport, you go to the airport so you can see a new possibility, a new reality. So when you're traveling now, you're saying, hey, I'm going to Jamaica, I'm going to Puerto Rico, I'm going to DR, I'm going to Haiti, I'm going wherever you're going, right? It's a new possibility. And in the airport language, it's called a new destination. So the context of the Airport Adventure, Live Safely, from the title, subtitle, main idea, or the central theme, it's around live safely. So the context of it has to be around safety. What does safety affect? It affects and influences your well-being. Why your well-being? Because you're a human being, and that's what we use to operate and function our life on a day-to-day basis, your well-being. So the Airport Adventure is around safety, well-being, and building new possibilities. As an educer, I'm not just saying I want to teach you. No, what I'm saying is I'm showing you a model. The Airport Adventure, Live Safely Book-A-Zine. It's actually a book, storybook, and a magazine that I was able to blend together to now bring to you a new possibility. And what do you think it's around? The whole thing that I just spent the last 20 minutes talking about. Safety. That's the #1 priority of the airport. And when they put it into place, this is more in-depth study that I had to do. When they put it in place, it allows their passengers to go to their destination safely. Look at this. When they remove safety from it, then what happens, just like in 2020, the airport industry was impacted by one of the stats that I saw, $400 billion in revenue loss. Why? Because we're in the pandemic and people didn't feel safe in traveling. And no matter what the airport did, they put in all the precautions that the CDC required, but guess what? People still weren't traveling. Why? Because they didn't feel safe. So when you remove the safety, it impacts your well-being. And this is what the Airport Adventure, Live Safely, is truly about. It's about the context of safety, well-being, and building new possibilities. And as an educer, for me, is not to come and teach you. I became the model. So I brought something to the community that I'm able to share with them now and say, hey, here's the model. I brought it. I built it. It's a new possibility. So that's one of the contexts of it. I could give you a list of things that, as a Educer, what is it that we can look at? Because for me, I don't spend time in teaching. I spend time in what is called discussion. When you have discussion with people, it brings out something out of them. Dialogues, conversation, engagements, activities, testimonies, all these things, right? They're part of what is called Educer. It allows you to bring something out of someone or something. So as an Educer, that is my responsibility now, to bring something to your attention and put it in engagement, dialogue, conversations, adventure, all these different things, testimonials, the different things that you could put in place, and it allows you to bring something out of someone. So for me, it's not spending time teaching you things, but to engage you in certain things. Like, this is why I created stuff like this, so I could engage you. It wasn't around teaching you about old realities or safety. I'm not teaching you about safety. Why? Because you already know what safety is. So it's not teaching you. What I'm doing, I'm engaging you in a conversation. And it's too bad that it's just a one-sided conversation at this point, because I'm on the video. But on that context, I want you to converse within yourself now and think about these things that I just presented. The title, The Airport Adventure. The subtitle that narrows it in now, it's called Live Safely. And then the central theme, or the main idea, it has to be around live safely. I could talk about many things within the airport and the adventure of the airport, but because of the subtitle, I have to now narrow it in. So I use the context and environment of the airport to bring out something within the airport that I wanted to share with the community. And what I wanted to share with the community, which is what I'm doing now, is around the context of safety, well-being, and building new possibilities. My name is Cleus Glory Young, and I'm the Educer of the Airport Adventure Live Safely Book-A-Zine. Thank you for taking your time out to enjoy or to even go through this video. I hope to see you again on another video that I'll break something down within the airport adventure, so you could really get a better understanding of what is it that I'm really doing with such a project. As I said, it took me about 21 years to really come to this conclusion, where I'm sitting here being proud of the work, but not just being proud of it, because it's something that I've been searching for the last 21 years. All right. So thank you again for sitting and listening, and I hope you are what I would call educe, which means I brought something out of you. Until then, be safe, stay healthy, and build new possibilities. God bless.